Hey everybody, welcome back. It's been a while. It's been I think it's been 3 weeks, fellas, since we've done a show. So here we are. We're back, episode 42, I believe. A little bit of a 3-week hiatus. I had some health stuff on the go, and God love the boys. They just wouldn't carry on and do the show without me, even though I offered it up to them. They just wouldn't do it. Wouldn't feel the same if I wasn't there, they said. So we had a little bit of a break, and here we are. So Dave is off trying to split an atom somewhere, and Philly is saving us from all the city-its down in Toronto. So, and you know, a good shout out to our good friends over at the East Coast Waterfowl Mafia. We got rid of the mainlanders today, and it's just us East Coast boys on tonight. So with that, if you haven't had a chance, East Coast, if you haven't had a chance to listen to that new podcast that's out from Matty Wilson and the lads down at East Coast Waterfowl Mafia, you really should. It's a good laugh, and don't worry, I'm sure they're gonna come out with a video and they'll put subtitles down if you can't understand a goddamn word that they're saying, because I got my head scratched and sometimes listening to Matty's accent. So it's pretty.
There's lots of twang.
Buddy, there's a lot of twang. It's awesome. I love it. I love listening to it. And then his buddy Sean, is it Sean Dion? I think.
Yeah, his last name's Dion, not sure.
Yeah, I think. Anyways, he's down in Yarmouth. Oh, it's awesome. It's awesome. Just to hear the accents, man. I love it.
He gets chewed out pretty good. It's pretty fun. Like,
yeah, they rip on it.
He is the redheaded stepchild of the group.
Yeah.
So
sort of like Phil for us.
Yeah, he's like Phil, except he doesn't swear as much.
Yeah. No doubt. So no, really, another really good waterfowl hunting podcast that's coming to you straight out of Canada. Some super knowledgeable guys that have been around for a long time and have been chasing birds for a long time. So it is a good one, and I encourage you to reach out and listen to it, because it is pretty good. I wanted to talk today because now that the snow is melting here, and I put a video up today on Instagram of the geese. Like, I'm seeing thousands of geese flying over every day now. So obviously now the wheels are turning, and I'm trying to start prepping myself to get ready for next season. So I'm already, I've already reached out to Real Geese. I got my order in for a bunch of silhouettes. Reached out to a couple other places to start prepping to get my orders and figuring out how much money it's going to cost me and how many body parts I'm going to have to sell in order to afford it all. But, we're at that point now where, turkey season is just around the corner. And for guys like us, well, now is the time to start thinking about what it is we need to buy to be ready for next year. And that's where I'm at right now. So I think I've tallied it up to about $1,500 so far. Yeah.
We do some guiding with all that kit this year.
Well, now there is a camera in that too, right? So that's taken up a fairly good chunk, and I need a couple new pieces of clothing.
Did you get a video or like just a still camera?
I think I'm gonna go with a video camera, to be honest. So Daryl Gilbert messaged me today, and Daryl was talking and just telling me, like, listen, like, and he gave me a couple extra hints too that I can't believe I never really thought about. But he was like take your GoPro and set your GoPro up so that it's facing the blind. Do you know what I mean? So have it close
Yeah.
enough so that it's facing blind. So when you take your shot, you've got that angle. And then because of that, I just bought the shot cam. No, Tacticam. So I ordered that from my I had a gift card from Cabela's, so I ordered that. And now if I get a video camera, that'll be like 3 angles of a hunt that I can get.
Jesus.
So because I think that, you know, I think people want to see it. So, and I'd like.
You're going to have to improve your editing skills.
I was just going to, you took the words out. You can't edit this podcast, and now you got 7 cameras.
But the best part of it all is
Are you
you're going to have
gonna-
a Tacticam, and you're going to have to edit out all the misses.
No, I'm not editing it out. No misses. That's what.
Oh, buddy.
Fuck that.
How you supposed to look like a pro?
I'm not a pro.
For the millions of viewers
I'm
and
not-
listeners out
Yeah,
there.
I'm not a pro, so I'm not going to pretend to be one. But no, like, and I'll have Cade, right? Because Cade, he loves behind the camera and he loves taking pictures and doing video and stuff like that. So he'll come along, and I'm guessing he'll probably run the camera for me. So, anyways, it'll be fun. That's the plan, anyways. We'll see where it goes. I don't know. Seeing lots of birds, so hopefully we get a good hatch this year, and I'm seeing a lot of ducks already too, so which was good. But they, like, I got super excited. There's one little area 2 weeks ago. I had about 200 mallards in it, and I was like, man, this is awesome. And I was watching them one day. Next day they were all gone, so it was obviously they're still continuing north, right? They just stopped in for a couple days, but lots of birds, man. We never had a bad winter, at least down here. It was fairly mild. We didn't really get our cold. We escaped the March or the end of February, early March ice storm that we normally get. So we escaped that, and weather seems to be doing all right. And it's even like out on your way, Ryan, like you guys never got hammered like you normally do. You usually get that one big storm in Nova Scotia.
Yeah.
You guys didn't even get that, really.
We had like 1 or 2. I think we had one where we got like, I think 50, 55 in a day. Like that was
Really?
probably
Oh, okay.
yeah, we had one significant one, but that was probably it. Like there's just right now it's just grass, like, which is sweet because
Yeah.
it's dog training season for me with a pup.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's just pretty much where you've been like piling your snow all year,
Yeah.
all winter. That's the only thing that's left.
Are you
It's
are you
pretty
gonna
good,
put
but we're supposed to get a little.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry, buddy.
No, you go ahead.
Are you going to put Scout in any hunt tests this year? Are you going to try her on any this year?
Yeah, we're gonna do a hunt test. I already registered,
Okay.
got her signed up, so it's just a matter of just training until that point. Me and Scotty Guthrie was gonna help me out with it.
Oh, cool.
Because he's got a pup, he's gonna run too. So
Okay.
from the second litter, so his dog is I want to say a month younger than Scout, so
Okay.
they're pretty much the same age. So
Yep. Cool. I'm going to put, I would have had Lander on them last year, but they canceled them all here in Ontario last year.
yeah,
Or for the most part. I think there was 1 or 2 because I seem to remember a couple fellas getting some in, but I couldn't get in on them. But I'll be putting Lander in. I want to get her junior hunter, and I think she needs to pass 3. I think you need to do 3 tests and pass in order to get your junior hunter. I think that's the way it works.
I'm not sure because I never hunt tested Casey.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure it's like single the hand, double the hand, and it's pretty simple. Like
Yeah. It's not like, I know Bill told me like she'd have no problem.
yeah,
She'd-
oh yeah,
you'd
well
knock
she
it out
already
of-
hunted her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think she needs, so the problem with hunt tests is, or here in Ontario, I don't know how they are everywhere else, but from what I've learned is that you need to pass. So you need to compete in 3 tests. And if the people that are running, you can do 2 in a weekend, right? And then you got to come to another event to get the 3rd one in order to get that.
Okay.
So, or else if they don't have it set up that way, you may have to go to 3 different actual
Events.
competitions in order to get that title, right, of junior hunter. So I know one of them that was down in Southern Ontario that I looked at last year, they had said you can get 2 hunts, you can get 2 tests out of her on this weekend. So then it only leaves you to one that you got to get one other event. So I think that's it, but my brain is a little bit screwy, so I forget a lot of stuff. So I could be totally screwing that up, and someone will listen to this episode and they'll make a comment and tell me that I'm right out of her. But I think that's how it goes here in Ontario, anyways. I think so.
Matty Wilson will know, and he'll watch
Yeah.
this, and he'll square you up.
Yeah, true. Yeah. So yeah. So Dodger, yeah, like you just touch on. I think you're starting to see a lot of fellas now. A lot of fellas are starting to pull the bumpers out now that the snow is melting, and starting to see it a little bit more on social media now. Some more fellas starting to start to train and everything. So you know, it just goes to show winter is over and everyone's starting to get back into the swing of things of chasing birds, right?
Yeah, it's exciting. It's that short window now where I can get on a golf course and do like nice distance marks from a tee box, and because they're not open yet, but so it's kind of exciting. But we're just about to start force fetching too, so retrieves will take a pause for a bit while we're doing that. And
you might be surprised, man, like how fast she picks it up. I know, like Lander was never taught force fetch.
Yeah.
Because she just always went.
It's crazy. Like every dog is so different. Like Casey was my last lab. She was so, and Mark knows too. Like she was so passive, not passive, but very submissive. And Scout is not that. She's like an alpha femme for sure.
Yeah.
But she's very driven, very smart. Picks things up relatively quick.
Yeah.
But the challenge is if she doesn't want to do something on that day, it's trying to get creative. Yeah.
How big is she now?
What's that?
How big is Scout now?
I haven't weighed her in a while. If I had to bet, I'd say she's about 55. If 50, yeah. She's tall.
Yeah. Like she's lanky, man.
She when all said and done, I'd say, yeah, when all said and done, I think she's gonna be around 70. Her dad was like Thor. He was like
one of those big friggin'
he's like yeah. Scotty Guthrie, he still hunts him. He's like a 95-pound chocolate male. He's just a tank. Yeah. So
well, I seen that video you put up of her the other day where she had that big old stick, and I was surprised. Like she looks tall, and there really wasn't anything there to like compare her size to get an idea. But her legs look super long. Like she looks like she's tall. So if she fills out those legs, she's going to be a big dog.
Yeah, she won't have. Yeah. She won't have any problem picking up geese. That's for sure. But,
yeah, and Lander wouldn't be able to pick up a goose in the field. Well, she could pick it up. She wouldn't be able to bring it back very far.
Yeah. Well, Casey was like that. Casey was a small lab. Like she was like her hunt weight was like maybe 50 pounds, and I used to get like the Doken goose, and I'd throw it in my backyard, and it would get wet from like melted snow, and the thing would weigh. It must have weighed almost 7-8 pounds when it would freeze.
Yeah,
and I would throw that in 3 feet of snow for her, and she'd go find it, and she'd pick it up, and she'd have to like hold it high, and her neck just over time just got bigger and bigger and bigger, and she had no problem for a small lab, just by coincidence. Not like I designed that, but it definitely, you could see like her neck muscles got big enough that she didn't have to worry about it.
Mark, how's things? So Mark is not outside the nation's capital this time. We didn't do that. Mark is down home and isolating in Newfoundland. Lucky bugger, eating all kinds of soul food.
Where's the cookie? Where's the cookie box? Show the cookie box.
Dad hooked me up pretty good with the grub when I got here.
Cookie box. Look at that.
Family cookies.
Yeah, Purity.
That's the most Newfoundland name I've ever seen in my life.
Family cookies. Yeah.
Family cookies.
Yeah. Well, so we don't know who ripped off who. Did Purity rip off Dad's, or did Dad's rip off Purity?
Purity's been around a long time.
Yeah.
Long time.
I don't think you got the date on it, but
I'm going to be East Coast biased and say Dad's ripped off Purity.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, it's been pretty good here in spite of isolating. I got a very large backyard to walk around in. And there's actually ducks flying around out there, by the way.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
Awesome.
today I
Have
seen
you
a pair of blacks. They were flying, going in behind. There's some cabins over that way.
Yeah.
So they were flying in behind. And several times I've seen them going in and out. I don't know if someone's feeding them over there
Yeah.
or what, but they're definitely a pair of blacks flying around here. That was pretty cool. Everything's froze over. All the ponds are
Yeah.
a foot plus of ice.
Well,
and,
I seen
there's
your
still a fair
picture
bit of
today.
snow down.
Yeah, the picture you showed today, like there is still a lot of snow down, eh?
Yeah, so
Are you going to stop in and see your old hunting buddy Jason Davis there at some point?
I will. Oh, yeah, get out of this. At the same time, it depends on the COVID level here. Right? So in the area I'm in, is the most strict for Newfoundland. Like I got a 14-day isolation, and I'm on day 3. Well, just finished day 3 of that. But it's the gathering amounts, right? Like, I'm not gonna. My mother has had some issues from surgeries and stuff that caused some complications, and so that's why I'm down here to go give a hand with them. And I don't want to put her at risk at all, right? So
yeah, I absolutely.
100%.
Yeah. You don't want to add to it.
I'm not going to go out visiting every person I know and then come back to the house. You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
Makes sense.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So, but I am going to try and see a couple people, right? So we'll take that as it comes.
If Jason listens to this, that doesn't mean it's an automatic. Mark's gonna come visit you, so I don't want to hear any bitching Davis if he doesn't show up.
Yeah. No, I'd like to get down and see him. We'll see. We'll see how that is. And but no, I'm keep myself busy here. I get lots of fresh air and sunshine in the backyard. So,
fella, I want to go back to the dog topic again, and Mark, I know you don't own a dog, but I'm pretty certain I know what your mentality is on it. And about a week ago, and I don't think you were following it, Ryan, because I'm pretty sure you probably left that Facebook group when you moved back to Nova Scotia. But so there was a fella that came on and started a thread, and ultimately what he said is, I'm looking for a lab, a puppy. Contact me if you have it, but don't contact me if you've got these stupid COVID prices, right? So obviously a lot of people chimed in and, well, what are the COVID prices? And what do you think is expensive? And I'm paraphrasing a lot of the conversation, right? So, and this guy is saying, I think it's ridiculous, $1,500 to $2,000 for a lab. And I thought to myself, and I'm like, well, I don't think that's a ridiculous price, because I paid that for Lander, understanding that I paid for the pedigree, right? Like, and I think that's what you pay for.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so, and this guy, he I don't think he was really buying into it. And of course, there was the fellas that came on and said, I've got a dog that I paid $80 for. And absolutely, those dogs exist that are go for it.
You're dealing with purebreds though.
And
when you're dealing with purebreds, you have to know the health history.
Yeah 100%.
That's why.
I paid I can't remember, $700 for my first lab.
Yeah.
I had a lot of issues with her health wise. We paid $1,200 for my current lab.
Yeah.
Bloodline, hunt test, field trial, right? Like proven bloodline.
Yeah.
The difference I can see between this dog and that dog, like in training, night and day.
Yeah.
So, and like Lander comes from a pretty prestigious line herself. I mean, there's dogs that like you're gonna 25, 3,000, 5,000 if it's a finished polished dog, like, like Sean Stahl's bloodline, like what he's got running, like I don't know if he's studding out his dog, but it would go for a pretty penny.
Yeah.
He's a
Yeah.
grand national champion, like
Yeah.
multi-time, like, yeah, good luck. You gotta have deep pockets.
Absolutely.
For that.
And I think, and I had like, and this was my comment, right? And I know that I've got to like suck back because I've only been a lab owner since Lander, right? Like a hunting dog owner since Lander. So she's my first hunting dog. But I've learned, and I've talked to enough people that I've got a fairly good opinion or good working knowledge on things, right? And I had commented, and all these people were saying $1,500 is too much for a dog, all this stuff, right? And I had said, listen, guys, like you're willing to spend $2,000 on a gun, you're willing to spend like $8,000 on a trailer to pull your gear around, and then all the gear that you got in it, and the dog is what does all the work for you. But you're trying to cheap out on the dog, and it just doesn't make sense. Now it doesn't. And granted, 5 years ago, I was like, man, $1,500 is a lot of money for a dog. And I get that. And I admit I was one of those fellas that were saying it, but I got educated on dogs. And like what Mark said, when you're dealing with a purebred, you got to make sure that you're getting some health guarantees, because that's the dogs, like the purebreds are the ones that had the issues, right?
That's right. If their genetics are too close, like, you know,
the mutts will last forever.
Yeah, exactly. Right. But if that stud is too close to that bitch, like you're gonna have some squirrely eyed dogs.
They don't even have to be close. It's just that if you don't know what's going on in one of their lines,
that's right.
And one of them could have health issues. You don't know. You're just getting a dog off someone for $300, $400, $500, $600 because they're running. They said, "Oh, I'm going to breed my dog and sell the puppies."
Yeah,
just so they can make some money.
Here's a question for you, and if you guys don't have the answer, maybe someone can comment or give us shoot us a message and let us know. But somebody had said that they sold, so they've got CKC dogs, right? So the bitch and the stud, and they had puppies, but they sold their puppies at like $300 or $400 a pup, but they weren't registered. So they said because they weren't registered, they were selling them cheaper. To my knowledge, it only costs like $50 or $60 to have them registered with CKC. Am I?
No, it's like 40. I just had her done because like for the hunt test, it was like $43, I think.
Yeah. So is this something that fellas are? Is this like a way that some of these breeders are tricking people that don't know the difference and saying, listen, this is an awesome dog. I'm going to sell it to you for $600, but it's not going to be registered just to save you some money. And then that person doesn't know the difference. Like, is this a workaround? Someone trying to cheat people?
Not always. Some people just don't. They're not in it for that, right?
No, I get it. But if
they have dog and they want to sell the pups, and they're not saying, they're not doing the whole guarantees and registration and all this stuff. Just,
absolutely.
If you want a dog, here it is.
Yeah, I get you on that. But if you're trying to sell that your dog is a top pedigree dog, and then you're trying to say, well, listen, I'm not going to charge you. Like, I could charge $1,500 for this dog, but I'm only going to charge you $500 for the dog because I'm not going to register it. Is that something that's happening out there? I wonder, because that when somebody had said that, it got me thinking, like, is this something that people are trying to prey on people that just aren't educated in how this CKC registration goes?
Well, like that's just it. Like if you're an avid waterfowler and you want a dog, like a dog should enhance the hunt. It shouldn't jeopardize the hunt. It shouldn't be an issue for the hunt.
Shouldn't be a liability.
So if you're gonna do that, if you're an avid waterfowler, you want a dog, there's a lot of responsibility and work that comes with it to get to that point. So it's a massive commitment before you even. So if you're not in for that, like, don't do it. Don't bother doing it. But we've had Maddie on here, we had Bill on here, like guys who've trained hundreds of dogs at high levels, and like they'll preach this too. Like if you are gonna invest in that, okay, do your homework on the bloodline, and make sure you get a copy of that bloodline from your breeder, and and it's like Rusty says, like, don't be afraid to spend money. If you're buying that new dog or that new goose call, that new gun, if it's something you're going to do a lot of, you might as well drop the money into it and invest the money into it, because it's going to pay bigger dividends. It's less of a dice roll in the end. Yeah. So I mean, I like $1,500, $1,200, whatever. Like that's a lot of money for a dog. I get that. Like, but you will you're less risk, more reward.
And then how about this? And then look at this theory. So if we're going to say that $1,500 mark is the, the price point for a quality working dog, that's, going to enhance your hunt and become your fucking buddy at the end of the day, because the dog is going to become your buddy. You're going to spend more time with that dog than anybody. But then you look at, and I'm not trying to insult anybody, and whatever, fill your boots if that's your bag. But you look at these little tiny shit dogs that you fit in your fucking purse and stuff. Like those dogs are going for $2,000, and they don't do nothing other than bark at every sound. Do you know what I mean? So like, I look at, like, I've got friends that have these, labradoodles and all this stuff. Like they're paying more money for that dog than what you would pay for a hunting dog.
Yeah.
Your designer dogs.
Yeah, your designer dog.
Yeah, it's true. That's a great point. Like this dog has function, has purpose, and it fulfills all the family aspects. Like, my wife loves ours. Yeah. My 4-year-old they're continuously butting heads because they're competing for the same stuff all the time. But
absolutely.
But it's like, I mean, it's win-win.
Believe it or not, a lot of those other breeds, even the little, I'm going to say it, even the little useless ones, are a lot of them have a purpose. They're designed for something. But most people who get these dogs, they're not going to train them for that purpose.
That's right. Yeah.
Right. Even labradoodles. I bet you a labradoodle will make a pretty good retriever.
Oh, I guarantee. Well, so the poodle, the standard poodle is a very aggressive dog and a hunting dog, right?
And a smart dog.
And a very smart dog. And then someone was telling me that the French bulldog is now the most sought after dog with the highest wait list in Ontario. So I can't speak for everywhere else, but in Ontario, the highest demand dog right now is a French bulldog, and the wait list is ridiculous for them.
That's hilarious. My neighbor here has one. His name is Archie. Yeah. And he's like, when we first got Scout, he was probably twice the size of Scout. Yeah. And now Scout is almost 8 months old, and Scout is 3 times the size of Archie. But they've never actually, there's just a fence between them, like a chain link fence. Yeah. So they've never actually met. Right. So Archie probably still thinks he like swings a big stick. Yeah. But for one of these days, I'm just going to take her and throw over the fence and just see what happens.
Just see what happens. Yeah. I think don't you have experience throwing labs over fences?
I have been known to. Anyways, we don't need to get into that. No. Yeah. I don't want PETA at my doorstep or something. But yeah, it's an inside story. But no dog was harmed in the making of.
No.
Okay, I'll tell the story. I was on a hunt with a very unathletic, untrained Labrador once upon a time, and the dog was struggling. Cripple sails into this pasture field on this barbed wire fence. Nothing too strenuous, like your triple wired standard barbed wire fence, but the dog just the dog was too fat. Like, it was overweight. It couldn't fit through the barbed wire. And honestly, you probably don't want your dog going through barbed wire, anyways, right? As you found out, right?
Yeah, big time.
So Anyways, so I lifted this thing up and I was going to lift it up and put it on the other side of the fence. But when I lift it up and we get close to the fence, it started to freak out, and it was basically escaping from my chest. And I'm like, I'm at a point where this thing's either going to fall into the barbed wire, or I'm going to have to just shot put it.
Yeah.
So I elected for option B, and dog was fine. Got the cripple.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And nothing against, and I really wish Phil was on the show tonight, because I really meant to say this to him the other day. We were babysitting or dog sitting a friend of mine. She's got a chocolate lab, and we were looking after the dog for a couple days as she got her house ready for sale. Now this is a family dog. It's not a working dog, right? But it's a family dog and a very well-loved dog. Boy, them chocolate labs, they're a special breed. And I've heard Phil say anybody can run a yellow or a black lab. It takes somebody special to run a chocolate lab. And I believe him now, because oh boy,
takes someone special to do it right.
Oh,
takes someone special to do it right.
Yeah. Well, I've hunted over Phil's dogs, and I've seen, so Jordan Stone, Phil's buddy that has the kennel, and he does, and I think that's what Jordan does, is mostly chocolates. Like, I've seen the dogs, they're good dogs, and they work good. But I've seen some that not so great. Man. But I guess it comes down to the amount of time you're willing to put into it, right?
When we went to go see Scout when she was a puppy, like we're talking like 5-6 weeks old, and we go there, and Scotty Guthrow's got like good setup and all that, and of course we bring Nate, and there's like puppies everywhere, and all the black puppies are just like snuggled in and like licking. It's like the middle of summer, so everyone's wearing sandals. They're licking toes. Matt Kazare brought his 2 kids. Like, you know, they're all the chocolate puppies. They got socks in their mouth. They're running away with sandals. My wife's toe got bit to the point where it was bleeding. Like, they're savages, savages, man. Oh yeah.
That's awesome. It's awesome. But no, you know, at the end of the day, to bring it back around full circle here, I think, and I've commented on posts before, and I really should have done it this time, because actually Luke Schurter's chimed in on this one, on that topic as well. But I guess it comes down to what you want your dog to do, right? Like, if you just want your dog 4 or 5 times a year that it's going to launch out of a boat and go pick up a couple ducks for you, then you know what? You'll probably get what you want. You know what I mean? But if you want a dog that day in, day out, regardless, it's going to go, even though that day, Mark, you were with us, Lander didn't want to go that day.
I think there was outside factors.
Yeah, there definitely was, but still. But I think, like, if you want your dog to go, like Ryan, like you're going to expect at a Scout, you're going to expect that dog to go every time when you say, and go and not miss a beat, go straight out, come straight back, go back and forth. Then I think you need to pay premium dollar for that. You may get lucky with something else, but if you want the safe money is to put, like you said, Rusty says, is to spend money into your animal. If you're only looking for a couple times a year for it to launch out of a boat and go pick up a duck, then you know what? Don't worry about spending that $1,500, because you probably don't need that pedigree in order to do it. And I think that's the biggest thing that people need to realize when it comes time to talk about a dog is try and figure out, what do you want your dog to do? I've heard fellas say, I don't need my dog to run 600 meters as a cripple, because I'm never going to be in a field. right? And so I said that to Bill when I was training Lander, and he was like, I get it. He said, your plan is that you're not going to need her to run 600 meters in a field, but you're going to have a cripple at some point. So wouldn't you much rather her to be able to go? Because 600 meters when you're chasing down a goose, and I've seen fellas do it. You know, you know what I mean?
Back.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So I guess if anything, probably just sit down and try and figure out what it is you want exactly from your dog, and if you're just that casual hunter, well then you know what, you probably don't need to spend a crazy dollar amount. But if you're looking at doing it a lot, you probably should, Mark.
But at the same time, your investment doesn't end at the cost of the dog.
That's right.
No.
You got to plan on thousands of dollars of vet bills over that animal's life. Thousands, not hundreds, thousands.
But
and who knows? That could reach 5 figures pretty easy, right?
Lander will be 2 years old next month, and we've doubled her vet bills than what we paid for, just because she's got into stupid shit.
And then there's the training. Like you guys both know, the amount of training is involved, right? Not all, if you're doing it yourself or if you have someone else helping you or someone else doing it.
Yeah.
All three involve time and money, right? It's not an $800 dog. It's not a $1,600 dog.
Yeah.
It doesn't stop. No.
Yeah.
Right?
That's good point.
A hell of a lot more.
Yeah.
Right?
Excellent point.
Yeah, it is a really good point. It doesn't, that when you drop that $1,500 to buy the dog, that's not the last time you're going to spend money on that dog.
It's not over.
Good point. Really
that's
good
an
point.
Investment, right? Like your investment is, I think if you go into getting what you think is going to be a very serviceable hunting dog, expect to spend 10 grand over its life, at least.
Yeah, at least. I think that's a fair number to say. 10.
If you expect that, then you won't be disappointed.
I'll tell you,
you should be prepared for it.
When before I joined the Army and I was working in the woods back in Newfoundland, and I was living with my mom and dad. Yes, I had asked mom and dad if I could get a dog, and I wanted to buy a Newfoundland dog at the time, right? And for the millions and millions of listeners that don't know what a Newfoundland dog is, think of a Saint Bernard and bigger. So anyways,
Saint Bernard that made love to a black bear.
Yeah. So I wanted to buy a Newfoundland dog, and there was a breeder out around your neck of the woods, Mark. And I had called this lady up, and mom and dad was like, yes, you can get a dog. Get a dog as long as you're going to look after it and take care of it and all this stuff. I was like, yep, 100%. So I called this lady up out on the east coast of Newfoundland, and I said, so this would have been 1997-ish.
You called that Mrs. up north of Torbay there.
Yeah.
The famous breeder out by St. John's.
Sure. Yeah. And I said, I know you got a litter coming up. I found out you got a litter coming up. How much is your dog's? And I believe she said something about, I think she said like $1,000, which in 97 was a ghastly amount of money for me, $1,000. And I can remember talking to her, and I guess I probably paused when she said $1,000. And she said to me, she said, if you can't take $1,000 and just burn it, don't even think about buying this dog. She said, because you can't afford to feed it. And that's what she said to me. She said, if you can't take $1,000 and burn it, she said, don't buy the dog because you can't feed it. She said, this is a monster of an animal that requires a ton of grooming, a ton of food, a ton of attention. Don't even think about it. And I was like, sound advice, because $1,000 would have been hard for me to come up with. And then if I had to feed it, it wouldn't have been getting Pro Plan Purina. I can guarantee it. It'd been getting salt, fish, and potatoes every evening.
what movie is this from? It's a quote. It's like, oh, a ZJ. A ZJ? What's a ZJ? If you don't know what it is, you can't afford it. Like, what movie is that, brother? I thought of that.
know.
You're like, oh man, it's like
I don't know.
A DJ and a ZJ. It's like, anyway, somebody write it. It just popped in my head.
Yeah. If you don't know what it is, you can't afford it. Yeah. And that was pretty much what she said to me. She said, if you can't light $1,000 on fire, yeah, come on over, buddy. That's the new camera. That's the new cameraman right there with his cute saucy haircut.
Yeah. He's camera shy. That's why he's on the other side of it.
Yeah. Ooh.
That's okay. We can take pictures.
Does he bring candy?
No. Well, candy.
Oh, that's candy. Yeah, we're gonna give you a rum bum, D.
Yeah. But yeah, I fuck, I forgot about that story. Yeah, that's what she said to me. She said, you can't light $1,000 on fire, you can't afford to buy it. You can't afford to feed this dog.
Like that, she's not trying to bullshit and they say, oh, she's gonna
breeders work their salt. They're gonna look to see if the people getting their dogs can handle them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the difference. Like if you're talking to a breeder, and if the breeder is super quick to put a dog in your lap and not asking questions, like especially like now, I think I'm seeing more now. Maybe I'm just noticing it more. I don't know. But it seems like breeders are asking, listen, what's your plan for this dog? Is your plan for this dog to put it to work? Because if you're not putting it to work, I'm not selling to you. If you're just going to have it to sit on the couch and get fat, I'm not selling. Especially when you're talking about these high pedigree dogs, because look at a breeder, like this is their livelihood too, right? So they want nothing but the most success out of their puppies. Yeah. They want to see their puppies succeed and do what they're designed to do, right? So you're seeing go.
And it's good for business. It's good for their business too. Like
absolutely.
Like for our dogs, like, like I'm gonna take mine, hopefully, COVID willing, like I'm gonna take it out west next year, and she's gonna get to experience all that, and that's what these things are designed to do. That's what they're bred to do. So I mean, like if you're a breeder, what more do you want?
And not only is the dog bred to do it and what you bought it for, but it's the happiest time that the dog is when it's doing its job, when it's working. Like I'm telling you, like, and Scout's probably the same thing. Lander's an awesome dog. She's an awesome family dog when she's in the house. But go out, and Mark knows, because Mark's been around her more than any. But pick up a bumper. It's a switch. And that's when she's happy. She is happiest when she's chasing and when she's retrieving. Now, I've got a little, in order to get her ready for the hunt test this year, I do have a bit of work to do, because we've been cheating a little bit over the winter. So we got to get back to basics a little bit, but it's all good.
So just in the years that I've been around waterfowl dogs, labs and whatnot that have been trained well. Even like, and I got to say this, some of the worst trained waterfowl dogs are usually trained better than pets.
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I'd agree with you.
Take the time to properly train their pets.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people that don't. They own these breeds and they're high energy breeds. The lab is a high energy breed. And I've seen, and I don't know who's going to listen to this, but there's friends of me or friends of my friends that I've seen their dogs, and they're full of anxiety. They're super hyper, and they're untrained, and I can't stand to be around those dogs.
Yeah,
I've been so spoiled by you guys and your dogs and everybody that I'm home with who has these dogs that are so well trained. And my brother also, he doesn't have hunting dogs, but they're really well trained.
Yeah.
And there's a huge difference between when you're around animals like that and ones that aren't trained.
Yeah.
Like you're right about the what's better for the dog. If you train them for their purpose, even if you don't use them for the purpose, if you train a retriever for retrieving all the time and all the other things that come with that, I think that leads so much more to a better, healthier life for that dog, right?
I've got a buddy here in town. He's a cop here in town. He's got a very high pedigree yellow lab. Jasper is his name, which is a funny name. I laugh a lot.
That's the Paddling.
That's a Paddling. But this dog is if there was anybody that rivaled Lander when it come to drive, I would say it was this dog. But this dog is not a hunting dog, right? It's never hunted in its life. It will never hunt in its life. But the owners play with it all day long on retrieves, and it's a tennis ball. And that dog, I'm telling you, so to play with your point there, Mark, like yes, you're getting a lab and a lab is a retrieving dog for birds, and that's what it was bred to do. But these people got it, and it's a tennis ball, and that dog, its whole life revolves around just please throw that tennis ball. Just throw that tennis ball for me, and I will go as fast as I can and pick it up and bring it back to you.
My wife will stand on the back deck in the yard and call the dog. And sometimes she'll come and sometimes she won't. And one time she's yelling at her. I think she's like chewing on a stick or something. And I said, pick up that bumper right there and just kind of twirl it when you call her name. And she did that. And she's just stopped and like ears up, like whatever you want me to do right now, I will do it as long as you throw that. And that's when I knew I'm like, okay, we're on the right path here.
That's right. Yep. No, absolutely, man. And that's like I said earlier, that's the happiest they are. Like they just want they know what their job is, and they just want to do their job. And that was one of the biggest things. I remember, Ryan, you saying it to me, and Bill said it to me, and a bunch of it. As long as it's fun for the dog, then training will be easy. It's when it becomes work to the dog and it's not fun. The dog doesn't know it's work. The dog thinks it's fun, right?
You can watch any train. You can watch Lardy. You can watch Bill Hillman. You watch any training guy in the world, Freddie King, whoever. They're always going to say the same thing. End on a positive note. End it like with fun. Like make it like a positive experience. So when you go back into the next training, the next training session, it's they're like, oh yeah, last time we did this, like I got a bumper, like this was great. Yeah, you got to keep that momentum going.
I got a belly rub after that. Yeah.
Oh,
you know what? I'm pretty excited. I'm excited to see Scout this year because, and I gotta go back again. Sorry, fellas. I gotta go back to this earlier thread that I talked about, where this guy had talked about the dog and what they had want. And somebody had said, well, you shouldn't be bringing your dog at 6 months old. You shouldn't be bringing your dog out to hunts, and you shouldn't be introducing them to gunshots at such a young age and all this stuff. And I thought to myself, I'm like, hold on. And I wrote back, and I know it was a good point, because a lot of fellas that I know in Ontario, I don't personally know them, but in Ontario that I know that are gun guys, that they agreed with my post. And this is why I know. I'm like, there is nothing wrong with introducing your dog at a very young age if you know what the fuck you're doing. So, i.e., not putting the gun over its head and shooting at a dog that's 6 months old, right? And so that ties into you, Ryan. Like, you took Scout with you everywhere last fall, right?
Yeah, like every hunt we were on, she was in her kennel in my truck, for two reasons. One, to give my wife some sleep, and two, I wanted her to, like, you know, when you go on a goose hunt, like you're field hunting, you park your trucks 300, 400, 500 yards away. Yeah. And so she'd be in the kennel. She would hear the shots, very, very distant. And then when the hunt was over, bring the trucks in the field. She's running around. She's sniffing birds. I'm throwing a bumper or a wing for her. She's having the time of her life. So now she's like, oh, every time I hear those shots, like, you know, yeah, she's in her kennel, but like the payoff is like, hey, it's like maximum sensory overload fun time at the end of it, right? So it's a positive experience for her, right? And then like she hasn't really been, other than that, she hasn't really been introduced to gunfire. So, but the next time we go shoot clays, I'm going to take her 300 yards away and just do some retrieves, just basic fun retrieves, no drills, just keep it fun, and then maybe we'll gradually get closer. But I mean, look it up. There's a million ways you can introduce dogs to gunfire, but yeah, it's just, you know, just do the research.
Yeah, and when I introduce,
start with some light gunfire.
Yeah, don't like make the dog heel and you start busting clays. That's not going to go well. I can guarantee
I took
like
empty shells,
or something, even just to get the crack going.
Well, I tell you what I done is I was taking empty shells and I was just putting primers in the shells. So no gunpowder, no nutting. It was just an empty hull, I should say, not a shell, but a hull. And I just put a primer in because Bill had a reloader and I could just put the primers in. And I just put primers in empty hulls, and that's what I done. But at the end of every time I fired that empty hull, which was just a crack, well, it was a little bit louder than a crack because the primer is still pretty loud. She got she had a real duck. She picked up a real duck. You know what I mean? So that's all she knew. She didn't associate a loud bang with bad. She associated a loud bang with I get to pick something up and bring it back and I get a belly rub, which was all she cares about, right? So when it comes, it's such a hard topic to try and give advice to people on, because unless you know, like I would never have took my dog out at 4 and 5 months old like you did, but you've owned the dog before and you've had the experience and you knew it. I didn't have the experience, so I would never have done it. So you got to know you got to know what your ability is and how comfortable you are and all that stuff, because there's way more going on than just pulling a trigger and making sure that your dog is not scared. There's so much more going on, right? And I think, and even like
even on my last dog, like, which is where I first started doing that, was I got the idea from a buddy of mine who had already trained 2-3 dogs in his life. So like he's like, oh yeah, bring the dog out. Like, and then of course I was on a hunt with the guy who is my breeder, and he was like oh yeah, he's like, that's a good idea. Like he'd never done it before. So, and he's been breeding dogs since for probably 20 years, right? So but so I mean, just like, you know, don't be afraid to ask questions. Maybe not on the internet because they're savages, but don't be afraid to ask questions if you got somebody you know who's like got experience. You know, and there's, I mean, YouTube's such a great asset for all that kind of stuff.
It is. No, you're absolutely. Actually,
a special person has to go on one of these forums and ask a question.
That's right. Yeah.
And I think that's a really good point. You can go on YouTube is 5 million times more beneficial to answering your question than what these Facebook groups are.
Yeah.
Because there's a bully on that one of those Facebook groups that's going to try and make you feel like an idiot.
100%.
Even if it's not a bully, you're going to have 3, 4, 5 guys arguing about it.
Yeah.
And you ask the question, and these guys are going to start arguing about what's right and wrong, and it's pointless, right? Everybody's going to push their own agenda.
Yeah. No, good point. And you're right. Everybody, it's like assholes. Everyone's got one, right? I guess I've been somewhat spoiled when it comes to Lander, because like I wasn't in the market for a dog, and the only reason why I bought her when I did is because I knew who the mother was, and I had heard who the father was, and the fact that part of the deal was I'll buy her if you help me train her, because if I had to do it on my own, I wouldn't have known. Like I would have been doing what most fellas does, and that's going out and buying the DVDs of Mike Lardy and the guys that have been doing it for years, and trying to figure this out on your own, right? And asking questions on Facebook and getting lambasted by these know-it-alls. I got lucky. I really did. I got lucky because I got a bud who's a good friend of mine, who just happens to, train field trial champions. And one of the
no big deal.
Yeah, no big deal. I'm probably one of the most well-named dudes in Ontario, right? And the Eastern Seaboard for that matter. Because his name is that good. Like at a Landers litter, it's only Lander and a dog in PEI that was sold in Canada. The others were all sold in the States.
You would be hard pressed to go coast to coast to find a waterfowler who fell into the amount of luck that you did for a first dog with regards to bloodline and access of training. Like you will not find somebody who had a better start than you and that dog.
Yeah, so, no, I agree.
Which is so advantageous for A, the dog you have, and B, the next dog you get. Right? Like, so I mean,
no, absolutely.
You're always going to make mistakes with your first dog, and you're making mistakes, and you're constantly learning, right? Like, and Phil can speak to that too if he was here. But
and I've said it 100 times. I think Bill has spent more time training me than he did Lander.
Yeah,
he's.
I mean, like, it's a different mindset. Like, I love, like, I'll be in public or like we'll be at a barbecue or something, and there's a dog running around, and it's like trying to eat barbecue off people's plate, and somebody will be like, oh, it's a stupid dog, and I'm like, it's not the dog's fault. It's never the dog's fault. And that rule has always been like ingrained in my head. Like, it's like a child. It doesn't know anything. It doesn't know anything. It has what it's driven and its natural desires, but it's the person who's in charge or responsible for the care of that dog. That's who's at fault or at credit.
Except when it comes to food and a lab, because a lab is driven by food. You can teach a lab to do anything as long as you got a handful of fucking kibble.
You can also teach it not to beg or like grab like counter surf or.
Well, I tell you what, that I clearly failed on, because when you come to the house, Lander is like, she's looking at you and there's just like, she's drooling. She's like, I bet you that steak is the best steak that's in the entire world.
Scout is like geographical. Like, if she's at my house, she won't dare like put her paws on the table or the counter. But if we go up to like friend's house, she's just like, oh, what's going on up here? Which to me is worse. It's just way worse.
Of course.
I'd rather
it's embarrassing, right? Because it makes it look like you don't have a grip on your dog.
Yeah, control.
Well,
your
fellas,
animal, right?
you know what? I was really concerned that we weren't going to have a whole ton to talk about when it was only going to be the three of us, and we've managed to fill 60 minutes of pretty much talking about dogs. I like dogs. That's pretty good. We don't need those friggin' mainlanders on this show. The East Coast boys,
upper Canadians.
Those upper Canadians.
They'll be the guests next time.
We could totally rock this.
You know what? We'll cut them out and get like Maddie and the boys. Come on. We'll just people like we'll have like 3 downloads because nobody knows what the hell we're saying.
Well, this is it. No one's going to understand what's going on. They'll be just like, I don't know. There's this show. They get on. I have no idea but they do a lot of laughing. So it must be okay, I guess. Yeah. No, fellas, thanks. It really was good to see you guys. It's been 3 weeks since I've seen you and had a chance to chat with you. So it's done a lot for me to be able to sit down and chat with you tonight and have a drink and be able to relax and the whole bit. So I appreciate the time that you took tonight to come out with us. The other two wing nuts, well, it's their loss that they didn't get to hang out with us. You know what? We didn't make fun of Dave. We made fun of Phil a little bit, but we didn't really make fun of Dave. So
Dave probably says the least out of the five of us.
Yeah, big
like,
time.
He's just like, if you watch like episodes, he's just like on his phone where he sits there like this a lot.
Yeah.
Like he's contemplating like he's probably thinking
like
like
the fact that he doesn't have a beard.
Well, that too.
There could be
like Sidney, even like Sidney Crosby's laughing at him. Like,
you know what? So I'm glad you brought up Sidney, and this got nothing. So I've got a huge man crush on Sidney Crosby.
Boyfriend.
Yeah, I love Sidney Crosby, and you know what? Over the last 2 years, I've been somewhat hurt that there's hockey experts that don't call Sidney the best player in the world anymore, right? Because of McDavid. Sorry to all of our American listeners, because I know you guys don't watch hockey, but McDavid is, and the other day on the NHL Network on Sirius, I forget who it was. I'm going to say it was Mike Rupp who came on, and he said, listen, if you think that Sidney Crosby is still not the best player in the world, then you're not watching hockey. And I was like, Mike Rupp, you are the man, because Sidney Crosby in my mind is still the best in the world.
So McDavid is the best offensive forward in the NHL.
Yeah.
Sidney Crosby
the scariest
is the best player.
Agreed.
100%.
Yeah, and Rob might be a little biased because he played with him, but he also knows.
Yeah.
Right? Like he knows, man.
Sidney Crosby is the best. Like, even it's scary to think. I think Sidney's like 33 years old, which is old in NHL.
He's older than that now.
Is he?
I'm gonna Google it.
Yeah, I think he's 33. So in 2005, when he come into the league, so he would have been 18.
33, right?
Yeah. So he would have been 18. Yeah. I'm a bit of a fanboy. So, but you know, at 33 years old, defensively, and the way he's still controlling the game, I don't know how anybody can argue that he's not the best. I agree that Connor McDavid got to be the scariest person for a defenseman to look up and see coming down on a wing. It is Connor McDavid, because look what he done to Morgan Riley last year.
Well, he does it to a lot of players.
Yeah, he does it to a lot.
Morgan Riley is just one of 100.
but it put such a smile on my face the other day as I'm driving down the road, and Mike Rupper's like, yeah, Sidney Crosby's still the best player in the league. And I'm like, finally, somebody says it on air.
They always pick a forward as the best player.
Yeah.
There's D-men, and Damien froze up. There's D-men, like Hedman.
Yeah.
Who are amazing players.
Well, look,
right now this year, I'd say Hedman is one of the best players on the planet.
See,
if I had to vote for the heart, which is the most, like, I'm gonna go Patrick Kane right now.
Oh, Patrick Kane all day for the heart.
Yeah, right now.
Yep, right now. I would agree. If
you take him out of Chicago right now, I know we just went from like Punisher Waterfowl to Spitting Chicklets, but anyways, here we are. So if you take him out of Chicago, they're not even in the playoff picture whatsoever.
So I don't think that I think you could even argue that Marc-Andre Fleury could even get the hurt.
Mm-hmm. That's hard to say because Vegas is so good, though, right? I'm not saying he might win the Vezina. He is a candidate for the Vezina, but man, Vegas is just stacked.
I think Hellebuck. I think Hellebuck all day long for the Vezina.
Man, oh, he's played so well. Like, and
well, and he's
I
in that
watched
high
Montreal play
scoring,
in the last 2 games.
and he's playing in that high scoring Canadian division, right? Where it's just pucks like poor fucker just.
And Winnipeg's blue line is not impressive.
No, they've got their top 6 is probably the best top 6 in the league in Winnipeg, but their defense not so much. But Connor Hellebuck is facing a lot of pucks, man, and I think he's a lock. Personally, I think so. But
I agree with that.
when you say Hedman, Mark, like I haven't watched any of these games of the Florida teams, or well, I haven't watched any games of anybody outside the Canadian division, so I really don't know. But look at Lidstrom. Lidstrom was the best player in the league for a number of years, and he was a defenseman.
Yep. And but people still pick an offensive player.
Yeah.
As the best player, right? You know what I mean? Like they're gonna say, the best player in the league right now is this guy. Usually usually a centerman.
Well, look at the Norris.
Usually,
the Norris Trophy is never given to the best defenseman. It's given to the best offensive defenseman.
It drives me nuts. Even the year Subban won it, I was like,
yeah.
And I'm a Montreal fan. I was like, man, like, no.
Yeah, no.
Like the year Carlson won it, I'm like, well, actually, Carlson had a pretty impressive year that year at least.
He did.
You know, Brent Burns winning it, like, I'm like,
yeah,
you got to be good on both ends. Like,
that's right.
You know.
Yeah. Anyways, to all of the listeners that joined in to hear about duck hunting, sorry about that little tangent on NHL. Feel free to message us, and we will talk NHL hockey with you all day, except for Ryan and Mark, because they're Dirty Hab fans. Dave is a Leaf fan. Phil, I think, cheers for Colorado, which I don't understand, but
he also trains brown dogs, so
he also trains brown dogs, so that'll give you an idea of where his brain wave is. Listen, everybody, thank you so much for having patience and sending messages and wondering why there hasn't been any new uploads over the last couple of weeks. Like I said, just took a little break. Everybody recharged their batteries. Most importantly, me recharged the batteries. Thank you so much for all the support. For anybody that has managed to listen to us for the full 60 odd minutes, listen, if you are a new business in the hunting world, if you are a new guide, a new product, anything, and you want to use the Union 0430 as a platform to get the word out to the millions and millions of listeners that we have, please send us a message, because we would love to have you, and we'd love to help you promote your brand and build and listen, let's face it. People can only listen to us yahoos for so many times, and they want to hear somebody new, right? So please reach out to us, except for you, Jordan, or Tyler Jordan. You're not coming back. I'm joking, buddy. I'm just joking. Because I know Tyler's going to send me a message, so I know I gotta rib him a little bit there. But seriously, anybody, if we can help you out anyway, please message us. We'd love to have you on. We'd love to meet you and love to chat with you. Fellas, last word, Ryan.
Yeah, it's been like, I actually surprised how much I missed this. It was good. I'm biased because I have more history with you two than the other two farts, but man, I sure hope we get this all this COVID stuff behind us finally, and you guys can come east and we can do a hunt together, because that would be the cherry on top of any season that we have. So hopefully we can hit some birds in the lips here soon.
Yeah, it's going to happen, but I guess the biggest thing, because I honestly have faith, the biggest thing is, are you going to be in Nova Scotia next fall, or are you going to be out west? That's going to be the biggest, because I honestly do believe that everything is going to work out in the end. So I think you're going to be out west doing your thing, and I think we're going to have to move west instead of east. to come hunt with you, which I'm totally okay with, and I know Mark is too.
That could work too.
Yeah, Mark.
Well, boys, this is good. As you know, I'm in isolation, so this is pretty much the only thing I'm going to do until next week if we do this again. So it's good to break it up a little. I mean, I'm going to go back to watching New Amsterdam after this, but, you know.
New Amsterdam.
Something to keep you going, right?
Yeah, well, as long as it's not Wentworth.
I don't even know what that is, but anyway.
Or down.
That's a good sign.
Yeah, that's a good sign. Boys.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you haven't watched it, fucking pick her up, boys. She'll have you crying. And
that's awesome. Oh shit, I missed you guys. Everybody, thank you so much. Listen, we are as advertised. We don't pretend to be anybody that we're not. We love one another's company, and this is our venue to be able to chat and pass on. We call it wisdom. You may call it something else. Whatever. Here we are. We are the Union 04. Yeah, we are the Union 0430. Follow us, share us, and tell everybody about us. And we'll see you all next week. Big love.